They betrayed humanity in the war now. We're bringing the fight to them all. Commander Sarah Chun pressed her face against the cold metal window of the observation deck. Her breath made small clouds on the glass as she watched the refugee ships move slowly through space. Hundreds of small vessels filled with families who had lost everything. They were running from their homes, just like she had 15 years ago. The Retribution was one of humanity's biggest warships now. Its dark hull was covered in armor that seemed to eat light itself. Sarah could remember when human ships were white and silver, bright and hopeful. Those days were gone forever. "Commander, we have new reports from the Proxima system," said Lieutenant Williams as he walked up behind her. His voice was quiet and careful. Everyone spoke that way now when they talked about the colonies. Sarah turned away from the window. Williams held a datapad in his hands, but she already knew what it would say. More human settlements had been attacked. More families torn apart. More people sold like animals to alien slave traders. "How many this time?" she asked. 3,000 missing. From New Boston Colony. The Kether forces hit them at night. No warning, no chance to fight back. Williams handed her the pad. "The Triumvirate Alliance claims it was a pirate attack, but we know better." Sarah looked at the numbers on the screen. 3,000 more humans gone. 3,000 more reasons why the galaxy would pay for what they had done. 15 years ago, the war against the Devourers had changed everything. The Devourers were creatures that ate entire planets, turning them into dead rocks. Every species in the galaxy was scared of them. When they appeared near Earth's space, humanity called for help. The Kur Empire had been their allies for 50 years. They promised to fight beside humanity until the end. The crystalline hegemony said their fleets would protect human colonies. The Valkyrie Confederacy swore their warriors would die before they let the Devourers reach Earth. Sarah had been a young officer then, serving on the cruiser Hope's Light. She believed in the Alliance. She trusted their alien friends. She thought they were all fighting for the same thing. The final battle happened near Jupiter. 300,000 human soldiers faced the Devourer fleet. The plan was simple. Human forces would hold the center while alien fleets attacked from the sides. Together they would crush the Devourers and save the galaxy. But when the fighting started, something went wrong. Alien fleets just stopped. They sat in space and watched as the Devourers tore into human ships. Sarah watched her friends die while their so-called allies did nothing. Then came the message that changed everything. Admiral Cathanos himself sent it on all frequencies so every human could hear. "The Kar Empire has decided this war is not our concern. We withdraw our forces. Good luck, humans." One by one, the other alien fleets left. The Crystallines said they had to protect their own worlds. The Valari claimed they were needed elsewhere. In less than an hour, 300,000 human soldiers were alone against an enemy that wanted to eat their home planet. Sarah's ship was one of the last to escape. She watched the Hope's Light die along with most of the human fleet. Only 30,000 soldiers made it out alive. They ran to the edge of known space and hid like wounded animals. But humanity did not die that day. They learned. For 15 years, humans had lived in the Outer Rim territories. The galaxy thought they were broken and weak. The 3 alien species that betrayed them formed the Triumvirate Alliance and split up human colonies like prizes. Took human worlds, human resources, and human people. The aliens thought humanity was finished. They were wrong. "Commander, Admiral Torres wants to see you in the war room," Williams said. "It's time." "Time," Sarah nodded. She had been waiting for this moment for 15 years. Every human had been waiting. She walked through the corridors of the Retribution. The ship was full of soldiers who had survived the betrayal or grown up hearing stories about it. Faces were hard and their eyes were cold. They had spent their whole lives preparing for what was coming. The war room was dark, except for the star map in the center. Red dots showed Kether worlds. Blue dots showed crystalline territories. Green dots marked Valeri space. All of them would soon turn black dot. Admiral Marcus Torres stood at the map. He was older now, with gray hair and scars on his face from the Jupiter battle, but his eyes still burned with the same anger Sarah felt. "The High Command has made its decision," Torres said without looking up. "The long hunt begins today." Around the room, other officers straightened up. They had all lost something in the betrayal. Friends, family, hope. Now they would take everything back. "Our intelligence shows the Triumvirate Alliance is planning to sell more human civilians to the Outer Rim slavers," Torres continued. "They think we're too weak to stop them. They think we'll just watch and do nothing, like we did for 15 years. He finally looked up from the map. His smile was not kind. "They're about to learn how wrong they are. Humanity spent 15 years in the dark, but we weren't hiding. We were growing. We were changing. We were becoming something they never imagined." Sarah thought about the refugee ships outside, about the families running from their homes, about the 3,000 people taken from New Boston, about all the humans who had suffered while the galaxy ignored their pain. The betrayal had taught humanity an important lesson. In this galaxy, mercy was weakness. Trust was a luxury they could not afford. The only thing that mattered was power. "The Kether Empire dies first," Torres said. "Then the crystallines. Then the Valeri. We're going to show the galaxy what happens when you leave humanity to die." Sarah smiled for the first time in months. The hunt was finally beginning. The Kether patrol ship Wind Dancer moved slowly through the empty space at the edge of their territory. Captain Karzalin was bored. Nothing ever happened out here in the dark between stars. His crew of 12 spent most of their time playing games or sleeping. "Captain, we're getting some strange readings," said his sensor officer. "Something big is moving out there, but I can't see it clearly." Zolan walked over to look at the screens. The sensors showed shadows and hints of movement, but nothing solid. It was like trying to see through thick fog. "Probably just space rocks," he said. "This area is full of junk." He was wrong. 3 light years away, Admiral Marcus Torres stood on the bridge of the human dreadnought Retribution. Around him in the darkness of space, 50 human warships waited like hungry wolves. Their black hulls made them almost invisible against the stars. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said his communications officer. "Stealth systems are working perfectly. The Kether can't see us until we want them to." Torres nodded. 15 years of hiding in the Outer Rim had given humanity time to build new weapons, time to create new ships, time to become something the galaxy had never seen before. The human ships were nothing like the old white and silver vessels from before the betrayal. These new ships were built for war and nothing else. Their hulls absorbed light and sensor beams. Their engines ran silent. Their weapons could punch through any known armor. "Begin the attack," Torres ordered. The human fleet moved forward like ghosts in the night. They had studied Kether patrol routes for months. They knew exactly where every ship would be. They knew which planets had the biggest military bases. They knew where the Kether kept their weapons and supplies. On the Wind Dancer, Zolan was still trying to figure out what his sensors were seeing when the first kinetic round hit his ship. The metal slug was moving so fast it went through his shields like they were made of paper. It tore through the hull and exploded inside the engine room. What was that? Zolan shouted as his ship shook and lights went out all over the bridge. "Unknown weapons fire," his officer yelled back. "Still can't see who's shooting at us." The second round hit the bridge directly. Zolan and his crew died without ever seeing. Their attackers dot all across the border. The same thing happened to other Kether patrol ships. Human vessels appeared from nowhere, fired their weapons, and disappeared again before anyone could fight back. In less than an hour, 30 Kether ships were destroyed. The attack on Beta Centauri came next. It was the biggest Kether military base in this part of space. 10,000 soldiers lived there, along with enough weapons to arm 100 ships. The Kether thought it was safe behind powerful shield generators and missile batteries. They were wrong again. Commander Sarah Chun led the ground assault team. Her soldiers wore armor that was black as space and twice as strong as anything the Corps had ever seen. When Kether plasma weapons hit them, the energy just scattered away harmlessly. Remember, Chun told her troops as their dropships approached, "The base, no prisoners, no mercy. They left us to die, so we returned the favor." The Kether defenders were ready for a normal attack. They had plasma cannons and energy shields. They had fought wars across the galaxy for hundreds of years. But they had never fought humans who had spent 15 years learning to hate. Chun's soldiers moved through the base like a storm of death. Their weapons fired metal slugs that moved faster than sound. The Kether's energy shields were useless against solid metal moving that fast. Their plasma weapons couldn't hurt the human armor. But the real shock came when the Kether tried to call for help. Every time they sent a message, the humans already knew what they were going to say. Every time they tried to bring in reinforcements, human ships were waiting to destroy them. The Kether didn't know that humanity had been listening to their communications for 15 years. Every code, every frequency, every secret channel was known to human intelligence. The betrayers had no secrets left. General Kethra Malek commanded the defense of Beta Centauri. He had fought in 12 wars and never lost a battle. As he watched human soldiers tear through his defenses, he felt fear for the first time in his life. "Send a message to the Triumvirate Alliance," he told his communications officer. "Tell them the humans are back, and they're not the same species. We knew before." The message never went out. A human cyber warfare specialist named Lisa Park was sitting in a ship 10,000 miles away, and she made sure every Kether communication was blocked or changed. Instead of a warning, the Triumvirate Alliance received reports that everything was normal. Within 6 hours, Beta Centauri base was silent. 10,000 Kether soldiers were dead. The humans took everything useful and destroyed the rest. Then they left as quietly as they had come. The attacks continued for weeks. Human fleets appeared out of nowhere to destroy Kether colonies. They hit mining stations, supply depots, and military outposts. Each attack was perfectly planned and brutally executed. The Kether Empire tried to fight back, but it was like trying to punch shadows. Human ships were too fast and too well hidden. When Kether fleets gathered to hunt them, the humans just vanished. When the Kether relaxed their guard, the humans struck again. After a month of attacks, the Kether had lost a third of their border territories. Millions of their people had fled deeper into the empire, carrying stories of human soldiers who fought like machines and showed no mercy to anyone. Emperor Thanos, the same leader who had ordered the betrayal 15 years ago, sat in his palace and read the reports. Ship after ship destroyed, base after base captured, world after world abandoned. How is this possible? He asked his advisors. The humans were broken. We left them with nothing. His military commander, General Keth Singh, looked at the emperor. With worried eyes, "Your Majesty, I think we made a mistake. 15 years ago didn't break the humans. We just made them angry." Thanos stood up and walked to the window of his palace. Outside, he could see refugee ships filling the sky as more Kether families ran from the advancing human forces. "Contact the Crystalline Hegemony and the Valari Confederacy," he ordered. "Tell them we need to meet. The humans are coming for all of us, and if we don't work together, We're all going to die. But the humans were already listening to that conversation too. Admiral Torres smiled when he heard the Emperor's words. Fear was spreading through the Triumvirate Alliance like a disease. Good. Fear was exactly what humanity wanted them to feel. First strike was complete. The Kura Empire was beginning to crack. Soon it would be time to break it completely. The crystalline, being known as Harmony of Stars, felt the vibrations travel through the crystal networks that connected all of her. People. The news from Kether space was bad. Very bad. Humans were not just fighting back, they were winning. Harmony of Stars was part of the crystalline council that ruled the hegemony. Her body was made of living silicon that grew in beautiful patterns, of blue and green. When she spoke, musical tones came from inside her crystal structure. All crystallines communicated this way, sharing thoughts and feelings through sound. The Keth Empire is falling, sang another council member called Radiant. Soft dawn. His crystal body was bright red and orange like a sunrise. Their messages speak of human ships that cannot be seen and weapons that destroy everything. Perhaps we should try to make peace with the humans, suggested a third council member. Her name was Whisper of Wind, and her crystals were pale white. We could return the human colonies we took. We could pay them for the damage we caused. But the leader of the council, a massive crystal being called Thunder of Mountains, resonated with anger. His deep purple crystals grew darker as he spoke. We will not bow to these soft meat creatures. The Kether are weak and unprepared. Crystallines have fought wars for 1,000,000 years. Our collective consciousness makes us stronger than any single species. Let the humans come. They will break against our unity like waves against stone. Thunder of Mountains was wrong, but he would not realize this until it was too late. General Elena Vasquez stood in the briefing room of the human assault ship Shatter. Around her were 50 of humanity's best Special Forces soldiers. Each one carried weapons that had been built specifically to fight crystallines. The enemy's greatest strength is also their weakness, Vasquez explained to her troops. The crystallines share a collective consciousness through harmonic vibrations. They can communicate instantly across entire star systems. But if we can disrupt those vibrations, we can turn their network against them. She pointed to a device that looked like a simple metal box with speakers on it. These are sonic disruptors. They create sound waves that interfere with crystalline communication. But more than that, they can actually break down the molecular bonds that hold crystalline bodies together. The human intelligence teams had spent years studying captured crystalline technology. They learned that the crystallines were basically living computers made of crystal. Like any computer, they could be hacked. Our targets are the communication nodes on Resonance Prime, Vasquez continued. If we can take control of their central network, we can send a virus through their entire collective consciousness. Every crystalline in the galaxy will feel it. The attack began 3 days later. Human stealth ships appeared in crystalline space without warning, just like they had in Kether territory. But this time they carried a different kind of weapon. Commander Sarah Chun watched from the bridge of the Retribution as the first sonic disruptor was fired at a crystalline patrol ship. The weapon looked like nothing more than a beam of twisted air. But when it hit the enemy vessel, the results were immediate and horrible. The crystalline ship began to sing, not the beautiful music that crystallines normally made, but a harsh, painful sound like glass breaking. The crew inside started to crack and fall apart as their crystal bodies lost their shape. Within minutes, the entire ship was just floating dust. Target destroyed, reported the weapons officer. Sonic disruptor is working perfectly. Across the battle zone, the same thing was happening to other crystalline ships. The harmonic weapons were tearing them apart at the molecular level, but the real attack was still coming. On Resonance Prime, the crystalline home world, Thunder of Mountains felt the deaths of his people through the collective network. Each time a crystalline died, their final thoughts echoed through the shared consciousness. The sensation was like having needles asterisk pushed into his crystal brain. How are they doing this? He resonated to the other council members. Our ships are stronger than theirs. Our technology is older and better tested. The humans have learned to fight us in a new way, sang Harmony. Of stars, her blue and green crystals were flickering with fear. They are not trying to match our strength. They are attacking our very nature. That was when the human ground teams landed. General Vasquez and her soldiers came down in the middle of the capital city like falling stars. Their drop pods crashed through the crystal spires and landed in the central plaza where the main communication hub was located. The crystalline defenders tried to fight them, but their energy weapons were useless against human adaptive armor. Worse, every time they used their collective consciousness to coordinate their attacks, the humans seemed to know exactly what they were planning. The reason was Dr. James Park Ellen's brother and one of humanity's best computer scientists. He had spent 10 years creating a program that could understand crystalline harmonic communication. Now he was sitting in a ship above the planet, listening to every thought the enemy shared. They're planning to surround you from the east, Park told his sister through her helmet radio. 15 crystallines with sonic weapons. Copy that, Vasquez replied. Team 3 moved to intercept. The crystallines never understood how the humans always seemed to be one step ahead. They didn't know that their most private thoughts were being read by their enemies. But the worst was yet to come. Vasquez and her team reached the central communication hub. It was a massive crystal tower that grew up from the planet's core. Through this tower, all crystalline thoughts flowed. It was the heart of their collective consciousness. Place the charges, Vasquez ordered, but the charges weren't explosives. They were sonic disruptors, programmed with a special virus that Dr. Park had created. When they activated, the virus would spread through the entire crystalline network. Thunder of mountains realized what was happening just as the devices turned on. Stop them, he resonated with all his power. They're going to poison our minds. Too late. The virus spread through the crystal network like fire through dry grass. Every crystalline connected to the collective consciousness felt it at the same time. Their shared thoughts became confused and painful. Their unity turned into chaos. Some crystallines tried to disconnect from the network, but they found they couldn't. The virus had made their individual minds dependent on the collective. Without it, they lost the ability to think clearly. Others tried to fight the virus, but that only made it stronger. The more they resisted, the more it spread through their crystal bodies. Within hours, half the crystalline population was affected. Their beautiful cities began to crack and fall apart as the beings who built them lost their minds. Their fleets stopped working as the crews forgot how to fly their ships. Harmony of Stars was one of the few who managed to send a message before the virus reached her. She aimed her communication beam at human space and sang with the last of her clarity, "We surrender. Please, we will return your colonies. We will pay any price. Just make it stop." The response came from Admiral Torres himself. His voice was cold and without mercy. "You taught us that promises mean nothing. 15 years ago, you promised to fight beside us. Instead, you watched us die. Now you understand how that feels." The crystalline hegemony that had existed for 1,000,000 years died in a single day, not from explosions or bullets, but from a virus that turned their greatest strength into their greatest weakness. As Vasquez and her team prepared to leave Resonance Prime, she looked back at the Crystal City. It was still beautiful, but now it was silent. The music that had filled the air for countless centuries was gone forever. 2 down, she said into her radio. 1 to go. The Valari Confederacy would be next. And they would learn that humanity's thirst for revenge was far from satisfied. Asterisk. Admiral Zithkar of the Valari Confederacy stood on the bridge of his flagship, Death's Edge, and watched his fleet gather at the Veal Nebula. 2,000 ships filled the space around him. Each one carried weapons that could destroy planets. Each crew was trained from birth to fight and die for the Confederacy. The Valari were different from the Ossi, Kethan, and crystallines. They were insects, the size of humans, with hard shells and razor-sharp forearms. Their society was built around war. They respected only strength and despised weakness. To them, the destruction of the Kether Empire and crystalline hegemony just proved that those species were weak. The humans think they are clever, Zithkar clicked to his officers. His mandibles snapped together as he spoke, making sharp sounds. They defeated weaklings, and now they believe they can fight real warriors. Today, we will show them the difference. His second-in-command, Captain Vexer, moved closer on his 6 legs. Admiral, the humans have new weapons and strange tactics. Perhaps we should study them more before we attack. Zithkar's compound eyes focused on Vexer with anger. Are you afraid of these soft creatures? The Valari have conquered 100 species. We have never lost a war. Today will not be the first time. He turned back to look at his fleet. The Valari ships were built like their creators, hard, sharp, and designed to kill. Each vessel bristled with weapons and armor. They had fought across the galaxy for centuries and always won. Send word to all ships, Zithkar ordered. When the humans arrive, we will destroy them completely. Leave nothing alive. Let the galaxy know what happens to those who challenge the Confederacy. But the humans were already there. Admiral Marcus Torres watched the Valari fleet from his command ship, hidden in the nebula's gas clouds. Around him, the human fleet waited in perfect silence. They had been listening to Valari communications for months, learning their battle plans and ship movements. They still don't know we're here, reported his intelligence officer. The nebula is blocking their sensors, just like we planned. Torres smiled. The Valari thought they were the greatest warriors in the galaxy. They were about to learn how wrong they were. All ships, this is Admiral Torres, he broadcast on the command frequency. The Valari betrayed us 15 years ago. They watched our people die and did nothing. Today, we make them pay for that choice. The human ships moved through the nebula like wolves through fog. Their new engines made no heat signature. Their hulls absorbed sensor beams. They had become masters of invisible war. The first Valari ship to die was a destroyer on the edge of the formation. Commander Sarachon's ship, the Vengeance, appeared out of the gas clouds and fired a single kinetic round. The metal slug punched through the Valari ship's armor and exploded inside the engine room. Asterisk. What was that? Zithkar demanded as alarms started ringing on his bridge. Where did that shot come from? Unknown, Admiral, his sensor officer replied. I'm detecting weapon signatures, but I can't see any ships. More human vessels appeared from the nebula, firing and disappearing again before the Valari could fight back. Each shot was perfectly aimed. Each target was carefully chosen. The humans had studied Valari ship designs for years and knew exactly where to hit them. Return fire, Zithkar ordered. All ships spread out and hunt these cowards. But when the Valari ships spread out, they walked into the real trap. The human fleet had surrounded them completely. From every direction, kinetic rounds and energy beams tore into the Valari formation. The Valari tried to use their standard battle tactics, but the humans knew them all. Every time the insect warriors tried to regroup, human ships were waiting for them. Every time they tried to retreat, they found their escape routes blocked. How do they know our moves before we make them? Vexer clicked in confusion. The answer was simple. Humanity had been watching and learning for 15 years. Every Valari battle, every tactic, Every weakness had been studied and catalogued. The humans knew how Valeri. Commanders thought because they had been preparing for this fight since the day of the betrayal. But the real shock came when Valeri boarding parties tried to capture human ships. The insect warriors were strong and fast, with natural armor and razor-sharp claws. They had never met a species they couldn't defeat in hand-to-hand combat. They had never fought modified humans. Captain Lisa Park of the human cruiser Retributions. Edge met the Valeri boarders at her ship's airlock. She moved faster than any human should be able to move. Her strength was beyond anything a normal person could have. When Valeri claws struck her armor, they bounced off harmlessly. Impossible, chittered the Valeri squad leader. You are just soft meat. Should break easily. Park grabbed the insect warrior with one hand and lifted him off the ground. We used to be soft, she said calmly. You taught us that was a mistake. The Valeri learned too late that humanity had changed itself during the years of exile. Genetic modifications made them stronger and faster. Cybernetic implants gave them reflexes no natural creature could match. The betrayal had convinced them to abandon their biological limitations. As the battle continued, more Valeri ships fell to human weapons. The insects' energy shields were useless against solid projectiles, moving at incredible speed. Their plasma cannons couldn't lock onto ships that moved like ghosts through space. Asterisk. The Great Alliance dissolved before Chun even left the station. Species after species sent messages of surrender. They agreed to become part of the Terran hegemony, humanity's new galactic government. Some species tried to run to the edge of known space. Human fleets hunted them down. Others tried to hide on remote worlds. Human intelligence networks found them. A few attempted to fight. Their worlds became examples for the others. Within a year, humanity controlled 3/4 of the galaxy. The remaining species lived under human rule, following human laws, serving human interests. Earth had become the capital of the known universe. Admiral Chun stood in her new office on Terra Station, the massive space station that served as the military headquarters for the Terran hegemony. Through her window, she could see hundreds of human ships patrolling the space around Earth. Ma'am, we've received surrender documents from the last independent system, reported Captain Williams. The Outer Rim Collective has agreed to join the hegemony. Chun nodded. Any word from our deep space scouts? Yes, ma'am. They found 3 new species beyond the galactic rim. First contact is scheduled for next month. Make sure they understand the situation from the beginning, Chun ordered. Join us willingly or be conquered. Those are the only options we offer now. She thought about the human families that were now safe across the galaxy, about the colonies that would never again be attacked by aliens, about the children who would grow up in a universe where humanity was respected and feared. The betrayal, 15 years ago, had nearly destroyed them. Instead, it had made them into something greater than they ever imagined possible. The age of human mercy was over. The age of human dominance would last forever. In the end, the 3 species that betrayed, humanity had given them the greatest gift of all. They had taught humans how to rule the galaxy. And humanity would never forget that asterisk.